Hello everyone, this is Mini Ninja speaking. This particular video that we're doing right now is not going to be a full-blown review slash comparison of the two, but rather consider it the supplement to the last two videos I did related to these ones, which will appear in the links in the description by the way. Basically running them side by side in order to really give an idea of what the two different figures have to offer from one another, since I didn't actually have the Kong Studios Guko out during the time when I was doing the last review, which was of the DF figure that you saw first. So overall, we're going to kind of take a look at the overall figures themselves, talk about the features there, the good and bad on both, and kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at with the whole package. Now, as you can see, just a quick reminder of what the heights look at. They're both roughly a little under 6.5 inches tall, although from the way that the body layout has that set up there, the Guko figure, the Kong Studio one, does come off looking a little bit taller, and quite frankly is a little bit taller because of the height on the legs as well as the upper torso that's been separated, which actually also makes it a little visually taller than most of the regular official SH Figuarts figures. However, when you go into detailing, there is definitely some quirks going on both figures. Now, as you can see, the hair sculpts are wildly different in this case, with the DF figure having a much more original one that's actually much closer to the original Resurrection of F art that was actually part of the movie, while the Kong Studio one is notably closer to more original, but with a lot more etching lines. In terms of the bodies, however, you're going to have to unfortunately give this one, it's a very clear winner of which one is the more detailed one, and that's going to be the Demoniacal fit figure. The sculpt itself is a lot cleaner overall, a lot more sharp in the details and everything, and includes much more original sculpting for that, especially around the chest and upper torso as a whole, really, and the hair is of course brand new. Whereas in the other one, you can clearly tell it has been based off pre-existing sculpts, and very softly casted, unfortunately, I might add on that one. The details are not very well, detailed, for lack of a better term. That being said, in terms of the articulation check, while the skirt does minimize a little bit of movement on the Kong Studio one, they're actually fairly even, I find, and I would actually say in certain bits it's slightly better. Like, there's a lot better neck range, I find, and a little more in the upper body range than what I had on the DF figure, which the head is actually quite loose on mine. And it's also worth noting, at least when I'm trying to show you here, I actually have a lot more trouble getting the DF figure to stand properly, and as it turns out, that's because the size of the feet there are indeed notably different. Namely, the Kong Studio one does have larger feet, which makes it a lot easier to balance on its own without the use of a stand. So, while it's not huge, it is worth noting that technically, yes, that is an improvement on that one. Moving on to accessories here, it is worth noting that most of the parts here are honestly going to be fairly similar, especially the hands and the faces. They're basically using the exact same set there, minus an extra hand or two on the Kong Studio one. Namely, you got your clasping hands, your martial arts hands, open palm key blast hands, fists, and at least one instant transmission, while the Kong Studios gets an extra chopping hand on there. In terms of detailing on both, the DF figure does have better hands, I'm going to be frank on that one, mostly because it has sharper details on it, much like the rest of the figure as a whole on there. You can really make out the fingernails a lot sharper there, the marking on the palms are much more apparent in the DF one, while they're just kind of very soft on the other ones. Faces, on the other hand, unfortunately this one's a bit of a no contest on there. You can honestly tell that the DF figure does just have more experience, or more experience behind it, which is why the decals are just a lot more impressive and kind of more in line with standard figures, if not a little better in some cases. And it's just a much sharper appearance, it's more polished. The Kong Studio ones are a bit of an improvement from the previous Vegeta figure, or Vegeta, however you want to call it, but they still got some catching up to do. Pretty much on there. Moving to the Kong one, this is an exclusive bit, basically a replacement belt bit if you don't want the kind of standard limp one that is a little more reminiscent of the original Resurrection of F figure that the 1.0 figure had, so it is a nice change on there. Also comes with an alternate head bit, which I am going to elaborate on the head bit here and hair bits in just a moment, but just to cover the one last real accessory that the other toy has, the other one, the DF, comes with this incredibly nice Kamehameha effect. So basically a nice charging energy ball, very impressive to look at, plus the stand of course, which is something they've included in the past, but it's a nice inclusion. Now, going back to the head bits, it is worth noting with the separate pack that you can buy for the Guko figure, you are able to get this Super Saiyan head, as well as Super Saiyan Rose one, and some extra faces. This kind of highlights one of the key things that the Kong figure has that the Demoniacal one doesn't have, the fact that it uses a standard neck joint, meaning you can actually use these heads or those hair bits on other standard figures, and pretty much also switch them on the main one with no real issue. Whereas on the DF one, it uses something that is a smaller than average neck joint, much like they did with the Mightiest Warrior, which means that unless you purposely take off the neck joint from another figure as well and take the whole thing whole hog, you can't actually use this on another figure readily, at least not right out of the box, which is a bit of a disappointment because the head sculpt on the DF figure is honestly incredibly nice, and I actually prefer that one a little more than the real standard one that comes with the movie Goku figure. Well, I do believe that covers the side-by-side for now in this case, so first off, if you're still watching the video to the Zoid, thank you kindly for sticking around. Anything is much appreciated on that one. And it's worth pretty much for my last 2 cents on there to say that for the DF figure, you can kind of guess that is going to be my preferred one, as I've already stated once or twice there, but it is nice to see that the Kong Studio one at least was a definite improvement over the Vegeta figure, because that was some hot nonsense. And it'll be interesting to see exactly how they continue improving on things, hopefully, in the future, especially with both companies doing their Dragon Ball Heroes Super Saiyan 4 style Vegeta in the upcoming future, a little later this year, to my understanding. So as an open question to anyone, if you don't already have one of these figures and we're looking in the market for a Whis styled Goku, which one might you be leaning towards? Obviously, you've heard me say my pick, but perhaps your opinion might be different from me, or you might have your own opinion on that. If so, drop something in the comments. I am curious on reading on that. Once again, thanks for watching, folks. Catch you next time.